here's what I did. Just down here at the back is your governor. And as this moves backwards and forwards, it opens up the throttle forward on the carburettor like this. And in the front here, just behind this little air box filter casing, is your carburettor. And it's getting the balance between this rod and how it sits down here on this governor arm. And what I originally found was this. So looking at this governor arm here, because I'm not familiar with it, I wasn't too sure what I was looking at. But looking at this closely, if I grab this flat part here, which goes into the engine, you can see there's a little split pin. And mixed mowers are saying be very careful that you don't lose that pin into the engine, otherwise you're in a world of pain. But look, I can turn that independently to the arm. Likewise, if I'm holding the bar with the little flat part there, the arm is just sort of floating there, and I do not know if that's right. I can't see actually what that is giving me. The nut is tightened up. That's all I've done, is undone that 10mm, put it back on again, but something doesn't look right here. So it's running lovely now, but for the sake of this video, let me just slacken off this 10mm nut and I'll show you what I did. So just to recap, if you look at the governor arm and you pay attention to the bottom pivot there, you can see that this arm was actually flopping around and it hadn't got any tension via the lock nut at the back. It was tightened up, but it wasn't enough. Now here's the thing, that you want the governor arm to be able to close the throttle in the carburettor. So when this arm here is forward as far as it can go, that inside was my butterfly valve, by the way. That was jammed. I've now freed it, but you want it to be in that closed position, and that's where the idle speed is going to be at its lowest. In this position, all the way over is going to be in its highest, and that's exactly what my problem was. So push it over there until it's closed, and then what I found was the easiest thing to do. I've got myself a little bit of sponge here, and I just kind of wedged it between that bracket there to hold it in that fully closed position, and that gave me a bit of a help there to understand where this governor arm now needs to be. And by the way, I'm just giving back what I know, and this worked for me, and I'm sure Mick Mowers is going to tell me off and say that's not quite the right way to do it, but I got the result that I wanted. So if this works for you, great. So this is where you need to make sure that you tighten your 10mm nut so that it's now on that bar which is coming straight out the engine, so that you've got it in this forward position which actually is closing the carburettor. And you want a little bit of movement. Obviously you don't want it to be in the completely closed position, but on the bottom here, this arm has got a flat piece on it, and if you get yourself a nice long pair of pliers, if you watch, you can actually rotate that and move it. It doesn't rotate much, but it's enough. It only rotates maybe not even a fifth of a turn, and that's why it's so critical to get this correct. And if you look at the back, you'll notice that there's a little split pin there, and that gives you an indication of just how much I'm moving it. And that's all it is. That's all it is. So what I found, that if I rotated the bottom pin clockwise as far as it can go, and then back just a fraction, literally not even a hair's breadth. So I'm going to use my little long nose pliers just to hold it and nip this 10mm up so that it grabs onto the bar that I'm holding with my long nose pliers. Right, so now if I remove this piece of rubber, you should see, yeah, that now is forward in that position. Now I would say that's a little bit too tight. It's fully choked up. What I want to do is actually just slacken it off slightly. So I found if you just nip up that 10mm, not so much that it's too tight, but enough that you can actually use the arm and just push it down slightly without undoing the nuts, like that. Now if you watch, I've got that little bit of wiggle movement, just like that. So now I'm happy with that. I'm going to make sure that I don't move that bottom arm. I'm going to hold the flap very gently. I'm going to nip up this 10mm. And it is a little bit of trial and error, but you'll get it. Just nip that up. Now I have heard people talking about bending that governor arm. I'd strongly recommend don't doing that. Adjust it how it should be adjusted first, and then if you have to, you could always go to that resort. But there you go, that's a nice little bit of movement. And looking at the arm that goes into the top of the carburettor, you can see that I got a little bit of movement there. Not much, but it's enough. Also to know, inside there is a little grub screw, that little fella there. And I believe you can adjust the revs just a little bit further on that screw, because it's the stop to allow that to either push this upper pivot here open further, or you can allow it to close further. So I'm going to give that a go and see how we go from here. So it's been pouring rain this morning, but it's dry now. So let's test out the beast that is the Cobra Lawn Mower. Let's give it a prime. I must get a new pull cord. I've had to tie it to an existing one, but I'll get that sorted. Let's get this thing going first and see how she sounds. Well, straight away that sounds a lot better. I think I hit the sweet spot. As I mentioned, that little tiny Phillips screw just near the carburettor, I did give it a little tweak. I turned it about maybe 1.5 turns because the revs were just a little bit too low, and it was struggling just a little bit when the grass was a bit thicker. But since I've adjusted that, it's working great. And just to show you, here's my old one. It has just rusted completely. Look at this, handles coming off, but it's definitely had its day. So this video is a little bit different to my norm, but bottom line is, I bought a lawnmower for £25, and with a little bit of help from YouTube and Mixed Mowers, I fixed it. And I love stuff like that, try and save you guys money. And if it is your sort of thing, and you're into your cars, I've got a whole playlist at the end. Appreciate you giving me the time to show you this, and I'll see you on the next one.